I'm Rich Tallman with Tallman Family Farms, president of Tallman Family Farms, partnership corporation here at Tower City, Pennsylvania. We're farming in 3 counties, have about 1,300 acres of land under cultivation, growing potatoes, corn, soybeans, small grains in rotation, marketing potatoes in the eastern United States, and packing potatoes year-round.
I'm Nathan Tallman. I do the sales here at the farm and on the phone on a daily basis with the retailers and food service companies that we work with.
And I'm Virginia Morton, and I guess I'm treasurer of Tallman Family Farms, and I also manage most of the insurance, including crop insurance.
Tallman Family Farms is what would be considered a table stock grower. All of the potatoes that we raise go to consumers' tables, and we're doing round whites, reds, Yukons, and russets. The reds and russets are coming generally west of the Mississippi, and round whites and Yukons are coming from our farm here in Pennsylvania.
We do grow earlier varieties and then some later varieties. We do spread our bets also between 4 different varieties of potatoes, and growing some Yukon Golds and growing round white varieties for several reasons. One is the Yukon Golds command a better price, generally speaking. And then we have a niche market in special frying potatoes also that tend to command a little better price. So we spread our bets a little bit that way.
Potatoes are a very thirsty plant. They require they'll require about 1.5 inches of water a week just to maintain. On the flip side, they are very sensitive to too much water also. We can cover about 80% of our crop of potatoes with irrigation, with either center pivot irrigation or with hand move systems, solid set systems. Secondly, insect pressure and insect resistance to pesticides is a challenge for us to maintain control of those insect pests. The rotation is very important. We're rotating on a 3-year rotation. We are actively looking for more land to even perhaps stretch that out to a 4-year rotation to spread out our risk and to give a little more rest in between crops of potatoes. If there is any one thing that you could singularly point to as the greatest challenge for agriculture in not only the United States but around the world, it is labor. We all have our radar up all the time looking for good qualified people to help do the work and to help manage other workers.
We've grown since 2001 from about 5 full-time employees to close to 50 at this point in time. We have learned to manage people better, but we tend to get task-oriented sometimes and think that it's easier to do the tasks ourselves than to multiply your efforts by hiring employees. But I don't believe any farming enterprise can have consistent and solid growth without embracing the concept that you have to hire good people and then manage those good people. The bigger risk that all farmers face is price. And in spite of having the irrigation systems and having the ability to make a crop, potatoes are not supported in crop insurance with revenue coverage. There is no crop in the world that you can plant that yields as much food as a potato per acre in production. In Pennsylvania, it is very common for the round white potato to be grown because of the ancestry of a lot of people here in the East Coast. They come and are descendants of the Irish and the Eastern or the Europeans who preferred a thin-skinned round white potato.
Certainly the ground that potatoes are grown in affects the flavor of potatoes. In keeping company with this small community of potato growers in the United States, every one of us is quite proud of the potatoes that are grown on our own personal land and can tell differences between our friends' potatoes and our own, and so they'll everyone that is in this industry is bragging that their ground grows the best potatoes. They're all wrong. Our ground grows the best potatoes.
We made the choice that in order to minimize our farming risk, we would serve customers year-round, which required the purchasing of potatoes. And in actual fact, in years like last year, 2009, when we suffered terrible prices in the potato business, it was the packaging and selling of potatoes year-round that carried us through and minimized that economic risk. This operation did not have crop insurance prior to 2002. At that time, I became aware of the crop insurance program with the available catastrophic coverage, which was zero cost, kind of a no-brainer. So we opted into that, and we really didn't have a claim in that year, but I did look at the numbers and decide it was, if you remember, 2002 was a big drought year, and had we had coverage, we would have definitely had a claim on almost every crop. So we moved in baby steps to a 60% level of coverage, and now pretty much across the board on all crops that we grow, we carry at least 75% crop insurance coverage. Interestingly enough, the years that it has paid bonanzas, I guess, if you want to call it that, or been really a lifesaver for us, have been the wet years. We've had minimal claims in the drought years, but the wet years we had big potato claims due to storage breakdown. Crop insurance has certainly figured in and been very, very important to us in managing our risk. Take time, read the literature, pay attention to the changes in the program, remembering always that learning is one thing, but knowledge without action is meaningless. Is it likely that the entire crop would fail? In certain conditions, that would be a possibility. So we basically did a risk management decision on the cost of that crop insurance, and it really was a minuscule part of the total investment for the crop. And I think every farmer, if you actually do the math on it and you study how much money you truly have at risk, you will find out that crop insurance is the best investment you probably can make to secure your future.
Succession, I think that we were, I'll just simply say, fat, dumb, and happy working here with Dad until Dad's passing. And a couple of things we never recognized was how hard Dad was working, even at 81 years of age. The four brothers, I'm the youngest of them, I've just turned 54, we soon too will have to pass the torch on. And so brought Nathan on board here in 2005. I have a daughter that I would like to get involved here too. She's only 10 years old, so it'll be a little while before she makes that decision, but certainly planning for that succession and gearing up to make it work is certainly foremost in our minds right now.
People tend to always think, keep it in the family, keep it in the family. Well, if you ever look at the different types of entities that can be formed, one is a corporate entity. Well, the idea of a corporate entity is that it can live on beyond the family members. So I don't think that it's necessary always to say, oh, it's got to be held real tight among the family. Sometimes what enriches a growing operation is to have people outside the family join it.
Potatoes are a very nutritious vegetable. They have more vitamin C than an orange and more potassium than a banana.
Ounce for ounce, or calorie for calorie, there is no more nutritious source of good carbohydrate on your dinner plate than potatoes. So remember, potatoes make the meal.